Y'all remember that movie, Overboard? Goldie Hawn's, which is significant. That whole movie. Arturo! 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 The whole little weird story, how she falls overboard and then she's calling for Arturo, which is basically Arcturus. In the whole love story, whatever. But then at one point she's trying to go, because she's really rich, so she doesn't know how to do the laundry and take care of all the children, and like she's just having to figure it out. And they think it's real funny in the very beginning, so the boys are messing with her. She's trying to do the laundry and she puts all the soap in, and then she's that's what I feel like right now. How about y'all? This video, man, I sitting here thinking, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do this one? Should I not do this one? And I'm feeling nauseous right now. Like I'm MFer. Last night I was on this live, or actually early this morning, there were like 8 to 10 of us that were on the live this morning, and at 12:32 a.m. It was 12:32 on the money. The highest pitch that my ear is still sore. I've never, ever, ever in this journey had a pitch like that come in to where it affected like the fiber of my ear to where it's sore now. And I had just come on here and talked about these time zone things, and that's about to end. I mean, it is what time it is. The core only knows one time zone. The core can't be spun this direction, spray this direction, spun this direction, spray this direction, spin this direction, spray that direction. Not when you're coming out of a simulation. It's the core is the frequency that it's at. The energy's coming out from freaking everywhere, no matter what time you think it is. It is the same time. Well, 12:32 p.m. in Philippines is where they had that earthquake. That's what we heard. That's what we heard. I've been talking about, too, 12 hours on the money. You know, like we were going to hit a time period where it was going to be every 12 hours. I think the last one that I had said that came in was, I think, 10:58, because I remember it was like 10:58. We had a time count, but then what we were realizing is that it was affecting us at like, was it 5 o'clock? I think it was like 5 hours later. Well, this is, I don't know. Let's see. We'll have to see what happens at, around 12:32 a.m. tonight, 12:32 p.m. over here. 12:32, I don't know. Could be all times, right? I mean, it just depending on where you're at. 232 is sun codes, and whenever that 12:32 came out last night, I mean, the reason that I even snickered about it was because some of the beings that were around me on the journey, I mean, one of them even, like, I had to write down what my number was whenever I put my stuff into this application, and my number was 232. And so this particular being was like, all right, I got it, 232. Now, I don't know if he was writing for me or against me, and I don't know what he put the codes in, and I don't know what all's built up around it, but I know that he did something with 232. That's not even the reason I'm on here. So as that pitch came in, and then we're starting to feel the effects. I freaking was having these visions because I just woke up. This is one of these. When I wake up, gonna know I'm gonna be. I woke up from kind of like an overview. I would call it an overview of the wheel of time. And this one's going to be a little bit, it might take us a few videos start talking about this for you to really. We were talking about last night the Rainbow Bridge, okay? Which is basically the quantum connection from way down where everything went to way high where we're heading, basically to the floor of where we're heading, and the transformation process that the body, the reality, and the land masses are going to have to go through together as the collective is pulled up through this rainbow bridge that's attached to star systems, not planets, star systems, and the weaving of those lines connected into the seeds and the star and you, because we're all star seeds, just different ones of us, different power forces, star seeds inside that vector, and that is ascension, because we're having to basically determine even what time it's going to be. It hasn't even really been determined yet what time it's going to be, like what year it's going to be, because it'll come to a point in this. We ain't ready for it this year. Maybe next year. We'll see. After we make it past this end of August, November, we'll finally land on a date that's outside of 2024 that will land on, and then there'll be a separate time count that then, I mean, they did this already. If you go to your history and you look at some of these dates, it says OS by it, and that was like original setting or operating system or whatever. They've already done this. They've already done this a few times. There's a couple of days that'll line up your different time counts to BC to CE to CE to AD da 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 da. This time we're going to be going in opposite direction. Now, what I saw, see, because 1972, and I keep bringing up that date just because it's significant, and it's not that the 10 years before didn't matter, because before, in the 60s, all in our world, the 60s down here was nothing but a timeline hack, okay? Not necessarily only for the bad, because because in the 60s, all the energy and all of you had to come in, that came in the 60s, that had the connections to the seeds, to the masters. So in the 60s, everybody started coming in and reincarnating, or kind of falling out of space and dropping to seed the stars, the energy. So it's like if you'd have an ascended master that was coming in that was connected to, let's say, 8 star systems, and let's say there were 20 of us, then, you know, there'd be like 200,000. There'd be like 200,000 that came in with varying degrees of those frequencies. So that by the 70s, the seeds could make it all the way to this dimension. Everything was run on a 10-year count. Everything from the Masons. Like, yes, there was 11 year, there was 12 year, there was 13, there was 14 even, you know, there were different yearly cycles. But even if you go like 15 and 15, then that equals, you know, 30. So, you know, for instance, a 15-year count would be 30 years. So that would be 3 10-year timeline counts. Y'all following me? Everything that was done out in space to birth us down here was still up there. The entire process in the cosmos that even got us into this orb in the 60s and the 70s was still working. The birthing process that got us down here, and whatever was done in the building of that in order to get us down here was still operating. Those of us that were born in the 70s, this was a 50-year, depending, like it's going to be. So the 20s, so 2020, 2021, 22, 23, all the way to 2029 is gonna be a 50-year cycle for everybody that came in the 70s. This is why we were the X generation. And basically, it's like, what I'm seeing is it's like a tree. It's just like a tree. Rings in a tree. And so if you came in the 60s, your orb was wider than the ones of us who came in the 70s, than the ones who came in the 80s, than the ones who came in the 90s. It kept shrinking. So the big circle was inside a circle, inside a circle, inside a circle, inside a circle, because we were going further and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into a black hole. And you know that saying, only through the eyes of a child? Okay, well, this is why. This is trippy. Let me give you an example. I keep saying I went raw 2022. I went raw, y'all. I kept saying it. We even knew that it like had to be done. Even like somebody in this realm, somebody'd have to pull the trigger. In this realm, somebody'd have to blow me out of this. In this realm, somebody'd have to da, right? But, you know, even though I'm upset about it, I'm like, I also know it had to be done. Was because it matches up with the birth. since I came into the realm in one way, because in another dimension it started in 71 basically, but for me, as a just trying to be as normal of a human as I possibly can be, and had a birthday in 1972, was birthed in 1972. I mean, we were really made in 2022 and rebirthed. This is why I had to go raw, because it's how the masters filled in the rest of their Akashic library, even. Because every 50 years is, and I just went back and looked at the charts for today. 1974. Today 1984. Today 1994. Today 2004. Today 2014. And then today. The reason that we had such a freaking beast of a time coming through 2022, and then basically kind of having to lay in wait until through 2023, is because we's all babies. It really is, because whenever you came in, let's go back to 1972. You come in 1972, all the energy and all the Akash that has been deleted, because that's what this was all about. They were trying to delete our DNA. They were trying to delete your memories. They were trying to delete the bloodlines. They were trying to delete your whatever Akashic. I even just had to go look up LRS. You're in trouble. Levi, Ray, and Shoot, man. You work for the government, and now that's where I was that's what in 2014 is significant to me, and that company specifically, and then what they're doing right now. Like, this is also how we held the 5% whenever everything got turned on again, and those of us that were like, oh hell no, it's because, especially if you came in the 60s and 70s. And even if you didn't, if you're one of us and you came in the 80s and 90s, and I typically will tell you this, as soon as I talk to you and I look at your chart, I'm like, yeah, you died and you came back real quick. There's a parallel of you walking around on the other side. Like, and this is why I'm telling you this, because of how I'm seeing. Because as we came in 72, and then it went loop, 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 and it's going down, 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 down. When everything opened back up, what it did is attached in to that 1972 frequency, and then it held a wall. And then this side down here that was totally off balance, it, if you will, whether or not it was inside or outside or whatever, what it did was pull that level up back to at least locking into 72, at least locking into 82, a year before they put me into the chamber. See, there's a reason they did that in 83, because they did that in 83 in order to affect 2023. Which is why last year it got so nuts. But it got so nuts because it was basically like 1973, 1983, 1993. It was always that connection from 2 to 4, from 1972 to 1974. That first year of birth as an infant. And any manipulation that happened. Now, everything that I'm talking about, I can look at the charts because I understand the cosmic birthing cycle, and I can look at the chart and I can see it. The closer that you got to 1990, it's more like the 80. It's more like the 90, like the beings that were born in the 90s and 2000s. It's like, instead of being way out here, if you were born in the 50s, the 60s, well, the 50s might be a different story because the 50s might go from the inside out. See, this is why they're all wanting the baby boomers. I knew that this was going to start coming up really quick, and it is. It's going to be one of the main problems. It already is, but people just don't realize it with the nursing homes and all that, because that's where they were going next. See, in the old energy, they needed you dead. In the new energy, they need you alive. And so a lot of these IT companies and a lot of these sketchy cabal companies, they went and bought the shit out of old folks' homes. And then are basically building the applications and all that in order to freaking keep them trapped in there and alive as long as possible, because they want their and they built them all and took over properties that are on top of latitude, longitude, hides, on grids. Almost the same thing as what they did with fertility clinics. Because they did all the fertility clinics are in like the lowest ley line in the area. And they're because everybody inseminated there is going to have a matching frequency. This helps set up cloning, by the way, fertility treatments. Because if you was made in a lab, then that's basically your birthplace, whether or not you were born there or not. So the same thing is what the reverse has been for them to build this up, is to buy the properties of the elderly homes or the apartments, turn them into elderly homes, build the applications for them, which is hooked into vendor management, all that stuff, because they're going to want to, they're a time capsule, and they're going to want to get all the time capsules that they can on top of that grid system in order to hold like a tent post energetically in a lower sequence, in order to cause the wobble energetically from even way out there. Now, there'll be some, that, just so you know, some of this is just now coming to light to the collective, because they're like charging people to see their loved ones and this and this and that, and saying that it's all types of crazy crap going on right now. But this is why, because basically they're holding, just like they held our children hostage, they're holding your parents hostage. Now, there are solutions for that are coming in. It's just now being made light to the collective, and the whole thing about putting the angles back together correctly in this ascension and this rainbow bridge is going to bring it to light first. So it's not nothing new. It's been going on for a minute. I'm just and it won't complete. Like, the reason that they did it all no longer is in play. Like, those binds are coming undone, right? Because we're out of this simulation. We're like, the whole thing's crashing. I'm telling you how Flat Earth got set up. It's been happening since 72. So we're going to see a lot of movement in those types of real estate deals, and those types of, they all were getting in it, especially in Florida. So that circle goes 72, then it's going to go 82, then it's going to go 92, then it's going to hit 0, and then it turns into like a clothes rack at 02. So at like 02, and then it at 12, and then at 22, we were on the vine. Basically, even mirroring off our version of us and our flight pattern in from 72. All right, yours popping. This is a lot to take in, but I wanted to come on and talk about it because this is how we held them, and I think because of the Venus transits and even a 5-year count, we had 52 years to finish it. This is why we came in 72, because 72 and 22 are basically the same year per descent. We were always 72. We came in, we got gridded down. We had 50 years to get out. So basically 72 minus 50 years is what? 22. Well, 1923 is when Skull and Bones was done. So it see what it's the 50, this 50, last 50 years from 72 to 2022 was mirroring 1922 to 1952 on a much bigger macro thing. We were just getting freaking pinged around in the whole thing, but it was mirroring in 2000, and that's why we had to go raw. That's why the Skull and Bones, we had to rewalk the whole thing, because they were attempting to attach it again, because they were attempting to have everything just run the same way from 1922, 50 years. And that whole process started over again, and basically we ended up rebirthing ourselves through our own process. So go back and look at 1974. Go back and look at 1984. Go back, and now this will be something we'll talk about all year, because we're in the 4 counts now, which is why at least we're 2 years old, so we can figure this out. Thank you. Now we're at least 2. I say that all the time to y'all. I'm like, to all of us, that look at the masses, we're like, why are you so stupid? I'm only 2 years old, or I'm only just born. Thank you, JC. Or I'm only just born, whatever. Well, this is it. This is why I say that. Now I'm going to add another choker in there. We had to stop it at 1991. So basically the body rebirth process, because they kept killing me and killing me and killing me and killing me, and I had claimed, and I'm your template, okay, for the 70s. So follow what I'm telling you. I was your body template for the 70s. The entire collective went back through the birth canal and the processing from the 70s. So 1991 from 1972 is when we stopped it, because I refused to go through puberty and all that again. Like, we could basically, in a lot of ways, it's like you're gonna go back to 18 again, even at 72. And it's just going to depend on if you're an incarnate or what your mission is here, or literally how divine you are. Like, how and when I say divine, I mean how far your DNA will break it down to zero, basically, because a lot of us don't have to go all the way and change, like, because you might not have been a template holder, but even if what, that 72 to 91, so that's like 19, will revert back to 19 years old in some ways. Because 1991 is mirroring 2001, and everything was totally different in 1991 versus 2001. I mean, like, totally different, right? And remember what else happened in 2001. And this is why so many of us knew that if we didn't go on this journey, we was going to die. Well, that's why. We's only half made. We didn't realize that we needed to go pick up the rest of ourselves, but we's only 50% done. The rest of it was laid up there to get down here. That's why the last 5 years has been so insane. Now, this is hitting us big time because of these two. I'm seeing 2, 4, 6, right? So this is an even year. And our stuff would always happen on an even year, not an odd year. Their stuff happens on an odd year. So basically, if you're going to try to control the process or harness it, their moves would happen 71, 73, like that. 75, 77, 79. The even years are going to be when everything's lining up in a current from whatever infrastructure was built the year before. So this is why in 2023 we were all pregnant. All of us. Every single one of us was like in a 9-month pattern, a 10-month actually, because it's actually you're pregnant 10 months. All of us were basically pregnant last year with ourselves. Yeah, even the guys. You boys are funny. It takes 3 queens to make a king. You're tied into your mother more than you ever possibly wanted to be. I can promise you that. The 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 trauma bonds between a mother and a son are its own set of crazy and weird. The ones between the daughter and the mother is on a whole nother level when you're one of us. Because basically your mother is your sister. She never was supposed to be your mother in the first place. How the fuck that bitch come in charge of you? That's the question. That is like, it's your sister. It's not your mother's. You want to see what I'm, because we were all birthing in a sequence. And this is how so many of us from the orphan train and all that bullshit, they just signed up and said, oh, this person's your mother. And then, okay, well, their intent is to sell you as a fucking intelligence op in order to Israel, in order to freaking ground in. Because all of us that I'm talking about, major simulation, we're all the ones that they're all trying to steal, take out, freaking move across the ocean. There's all types of crazy shit going on right now under a disguise out in your oceans. Nothing's just something out there right now. Trust me on that one. It's mostly black ops crap that's going on at the core, and they're all trying to take like battleship positions, and they're like scooting each other over and crap. That's what's going on out there. But we busted the wheel open. We busted open the Zodiac wheel. We had to, in order to get us all out. The wheel was the problem. The wheel, that's why a lot of you look at the wheel when I'm trying to explain. That's why we do it the way we do now. Some of you want to see your wheel because you might have come in the 70s, or maybe that's how you learned and got this far to understand what I'm telling you. But the rest of the population isn't going to want to see the wheel. You don't need to see it. Because what you're doing is reading all of the energy currents that were hitting your wheel, not the wheel, because you're coming out of the wheel. All you need to do, your system just needs to see what all's in it, so you just consciously know what you're balancing, even if you don't know. You know, because you're connected into all of us on this side, this side, this side, this side, this side. Boom, 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 boom. Zoop. Mark, mark. That's how it's going, and all the energy will build up on the one on the wall side, and then it'll pop, and then all of it'll build up on this side, and then it'll pop, and that is how you travel through this rainbow bridge. This is why the Bible says, follow my footsteps. This is why. You can't go build your own bridge. I can promise you that. You kind of had to start 400,000 years ago. I also have a little download coming in about the resurrection days. It's kind of, I had to put those keys in first in the bubble, the 4310, but it's a lot right now to even fathom this, so I'm not going to go into it. But we're on a 4 count still, so we're affecting the poles right now. So I'll just say it that way. So basically, see how I put the 4s up there on each side? Your 4 days are going to be affecting wherever these nodes are, which they're not all at the top. They could be, it just depends. But wherever you have a 0 point, in your field that's like a primer that's going to magnetize and line up another, because basically all of these on our bubbles are like a 0 point bubble. If we're all a bubble inside a bubble, then depending on where you have these 0 point bubbles in your ring of bubbles around you, all of these line up to 1 point inside and outside. So these are basically like magnets that pull us in at our 0 point, wherever that is, and then we gather around it in a 0 point when all of this is happening. This is where the 4s are. So on these 4 days, this is what is lining up. Okay, there's 4 days where all these are lining up. Your 3s are boom. They're the circumference. That's why 3, 6, 9, da 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 da. Because then that's what all that was. It'll spin this one and da 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 da. You know, because they had their own set of 0 point, basically odd numbers. That's why on 3 days we see a lot more weather and land stuff happen. So that's not for another 2 to 3 more days, because really we're on 2 different counts right now. One that leads us all the way up to the 25th and one that closes before the 24th. 2014 is also what we're lining up to, because it's closer in. So it's basically like we're dissolving timelines from 74 and 2014 at the same time. And then those timelines from 74 and 2014 are then affecting 1984, 1994, and 2004. Those whatever was made in those years, whatever was constructed in those years, whatever, those are the ones that are going to be terraforming right now to a new 2014, 2074 frequency. Because it's like basically 74 and 2014 made a new thing way out in the cosmos. Everything that was done inside the vector mirrored way out there. So the more microbial we got down here, it went macrocosm up there. And so that's what's merged now. 74 and 2014, which is basically then mirroring whatever we need as a collective that happened down here, is where construction is going on, if you will, in the ethers, in the tunnel. And then what it's doing is changing 84, 94, and 04. Almost as if it's undoing it and lining it back up. And that's what's going to be going down all year. So I'm sure I will keep talking about this. This just came in. But it's because it's the 5th 0 point resurrection set of codes that we've had in the past 5 to 6 months. So it was like the final set that uncoiled the whole bag. But as far as like, if you're being like me and you don't know who your mom and dad are, and you were orphaned out or you were adopted or whatever, and you know that like you really don't have, like, because I really don't have a mother and a father. Well, this is how that cosmic gate, basically how we got here in the 70s, is is what just happened right now. The orphans and even how we were coming back in and da 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 da. It was all because we were basically dying around 40. Trip out. All right, I'm outie. Y'all have a great day. I might be back. We'll see what else pops off. If y'all see any videos that are like people talking about anything that's lined up with this, let me know. This is also like your COBOL technology and all that. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Like, realize that the technology that they were, because everything that they built was harnessing, and now we basically scrubbed that tech, blended it with what it should be outside of a machine. Now it's all in your DNA. So anything that was harnessed to catch your energetic to hold you in a cell, COBOL. Government, that's what LRS is. They have all your COBOL machines. They're the ones who stole my shit in 2014 when I filed bankruptcy. Because they stole my stuff in 2013 because 2012 was the flip. Why was 2012 the flip? Because it was 40 years after 1972. That's why we even had 40 under 40. If you knew what that was.